Hello, everyone, and welcome to another stream on the channel. My name is Pagey, as you would most likely know, or at least hopefully you would know. Be a bit of an issue if you're watching right now and you did not know that. But welcome, everyone. Hopefully, having a good evening/night. I'm assuming for most of you. Yeah, it's got something to talk about, which we haven't actually talked about properly outside of my videos, but that's a one-way discussion for the most part because it's just me talking. Because I haven't done a live stream, I think, at least since the official news came out. I can't remember if I did one after the reasoning for him getting fired happened. It might have. I can't remember. My brain sort of frazzled. But welcome everyone to the stream. Hopefully having a good day. Or you've had a good day, might I say. Yeah, we'll just talk about that and we'll just do a general Q&A. That's pretty much what the streams are going to be during this long off season. We'll have a topic and then pretty much move into a general Q&A and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know how long we'll stream for. We'll just stream for however long we'll go. But if you are watching live, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on the stream because it will go up as a video later on. So if you could do that, it'd be greatly appreciated. It would be awesome. But welcome everyone. As we always do, it'd be cool if you could let me know where you're watching in the world, because sometimes I get some surprising locales or locations as to where people are watching from, so it always intrigues me. Mtsish says there's nothing to talk about. Well, there's always something to talk about. I could talk about my floor if I wanted to, and we could probably go on for about 30 minutes. Fresno, Michigan, Detroit, or Detroit, Michigan, might I say. Massachusetts, I think that's how you pronounce it. I think that's where Boston is. I can never pronounce it correctly. Hopefully I did then. Florida, lol. Florida, lol. That's interesting. Dark Archers from England, Minnesota, Canada, Stockholm, and Sweden. Yeah, interesting places. What's this? My house, Pennsylvania. Oakley dokley. What time is it for me? It is 8 a.m. I'm meant to have a package delivered today, and they usually deliver between 8 and 9, so hopefully they don't knock and they just leave it out the front, because that'll be good for me. No one's going to steal it, so rather than just do that. Wolverhampton in England, the most boring place in England. I'm sure there'll be more boring places. I don't know. England to me just seems like it'd be a fairly boring country. I've been there once, and it was okay, but it was for like a school trip, so didn't really take too much note of it. Didn't really get to do much extracurricular activities, if you want to call it. But obviously, so main topic of the chat, I was just talking crap there for a bit because they're only 3 minutes into the stream, and sometimes it takes a bit for people to come in. But obviously, we've had the Hartley Sawyer news come out, which is, I think, I don't know, I'm actually curious. Let me know in the chat, did you know about what had happened before the news came out? So did you know that those tweets had been brought up before that news came out, or were you on the other side of it completely? So you had no idea that those tweets existed, and then the news just came out, oh, Hartley's gone. What side were you on? Because from what I could gather, I think most people on my video knew about it, but then there were some that still had no idea, so the news was completely shocking. But then there was some that knew about it, but just didn't think anyone anything would happen from it. And then when he got fired, it was like a big shock that way. It's a bit of a mix. It says a bit of a mix. So it's no, but then like some yeses in there. I'm not surprised because I'm sure if you knew about them as well, after I would say a day, but I'd maybe even stretch it out to 48 hours, so about 2 days after, no one was talking about it. And it was pretty much because what's happening in America at the moment, even though you'd think that would maybe add the tweets, or make the tweets go on longer. But yeah, it just seemed like there was no real consistent talk about it. Like, I swear, like, even the stuff that happened with Candace was talked about longer than this, which is pretty crazy. Saying this is, I think, is like, obviously is much worse than what happened there. But it died off quickly, and I think that was pretty much just because of what was happening in America. Just one thing happened there, and then something else would happen, so it just got buried. So it seems most people were like knew about it, but there's still a decent amount that had no idea about it. And I think it's because it got buried so fast. Because if you weren't there for at least, I would say that first day that they were out, you probably wouldn't have even known about it, even if you were on Twitter. So if you just took a day off Twitter for that day, you probably wouldn't have known about it because it just got buried that fast. I have a serious question. Who is Joe? Like Joe Mama, I'm guessing? Or is that a... Are people still doing that? Anyway, there was a super chat up here and I've missed it because I'm so slow. Anyway, let me try and find it on this other page here. I opened it up in preparation. So hopefully they appear here. They do. Actually, there's 3. Pablo Sanchez with a $2. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that, Pablo. What did he say to get fined and when did he say? I'm not going to say what he said because I don't want to get demonetized. But it was just like really misogynistic, sexist, and 1 or 2 racist tweets. But they were the one racist tweet that I can remember him tweeting was very bad and very bad for the current climate. I was like, wow, I think that was the one that was the worst. People disagree. People say the misogynistic ones were the worst. I think the racist one's probably the worst. But that's probably considering the current climate. SAR, I think it was just SA 1989 with the $2. Thank you very much for that. Do you think Batwoman will be on iTunes? In Australia, because you've donated through Australian dollars, I would say no because it's on. It should, but I don't think it will be because it's actually on the the new binge streaming service, which launched like 2 weeks ago or something. So that's why Foxtel, the whole first season of Batwoman's on there. So that's where it'll be. And that's only, I think, $6 a month. So you could go there. It's obviously it would be cheaper than getting it on iTunes, but that's where I know it is in Australia at least. And there was, okay, now I can go back here. Scarlet Lightning with the 86 with the $5. Hey, Pagey, did you read the story about your boy, Mr. Amel, and his neighbor pooping on his roof? Lol. Yeah, I saw that. I don't understand what necessarily that was about. I think it was like because they're being noisy and I think he complained about it. So they pooed on his roof in revenge, which I think was weird. So, yeah. So I'm just going through the chat here. I'm scrolling back up because I missed stuff because I was on the other page. Oh, by the way, I thought people knew about this. The whole I shouldn't have even brought it up because I thought people knew. But anyway, the Candace situation was just like the basketball player had like separated. I don't think he's divorced his wife, but he'd separated his wife, so he was still technically married. And then Candace apparently had a relationship with him. And then it was twisted into this whole like cheating scandal, which I looked at and was like, this is a bit of a stretch because it was pretty obvious that couple wasn't together anymore, but it was stretched into this whole cheating scandal. I think it was like probably an attempt to cancel Candace, even though it had nothing to do with the show. Like if she had done it with a cast member or a crew member and it was obviously going to cause issues on set, then of course it'd be an issue, but it was completely unrelated to the show. And I don't even think it was that bad because I'm pretty sure the basketball player was at that point separated from his wife. He wasn't actually in a happy marriage. They were probably going to get divorced. They might be divorced by now. I have no idea. Don't keep up with it. Didn't even know who the basketball player was because I don't follow basketball. So, yeah, it was one of those situations. But because people were trying to turn it into something much bigger, people were talking about it for longer and it outstretched the Hartley situation. So I thought that people might have known that. J.R. Smith, that's the basketball player, yeah. So I'm just going through the chat again. I actually forgot about it, his tweets. That's from Gintok Cruise 1 with the $2. Thank you very much for that. I think like that's the thing. Like the thing was the tweets were there for like a day and then it just sort of went off. And I think people even just forgot about it, even though it was a week later, because so much stuff was happening. To the point where when that news came out, it just was a bit shocking because I think it just sort of leaked at people's heads. Grace says people are wanting Danielle to get fired. I'm assuming that's Panabaker. Actually, yeah, it would be Panabaker. I think maybe she has had some questionable behavior in the past and towards Candace. I don't think she'll ever be or deserves to be fired. Thoughts? No, like there was a thread on Twitter which was like trying to expose Danielle as like, I don't necessarily like straight up calling Danielle a racist, but definitely trying to expose her as trying to like push down Candace. But then there was another thread which completely counteracted those points and proved that that original thread was taking stuff out of context, whether it be interviews or like threads from other tweets and stuff like that. I think I think there is animosity between Danielle and Candace on set. The only thing I've heard, and I think most people would know this because it was actually said by someone that used to work on the set, was that Candace wasn't happy that she was the female lead on the show, but didn't get the screen time. That's what I heard, and that's what that crew member had sort of put out there, and then it sort of caused some issue there. But I think that's gone. That was like I want to say season 3, maybe season 4, but I have a feeling it was season 3, or at least the lead up to season 3. So I think that's like the only thing that really happened there. I don't think they would have kept on going. I think if that was an issue, one of them would have left the show by now. I don't think it would have been ongoing if it was still there's massive animosity on set. They probably don't hang out with each other. They wouldn't call themselves friends, but I highly doubt they're what do you call it, like giving like side eye to each other all the time on set and yelling at each other and everything like that. So the thing is that on Twitter you get like the wars between the ships and just certain characters and stuff. You know what I mean? It's just going to keep on going. So it gets spun into this whole like fantasy drama, if you want to call it. If it was an issue, one of them wouldn't be on the show anymore. But here's the thing. So we'll jump into this now because there's a couple of, actually, since the beginning people were talking about it, but I just wanted to talk about it now. Actually, I will say thank you to LOL Monster. Where was it? LOL Monster 87 with the 9. I think that's Norwegian krone with the super sticker. I can't see the super sticker because I'm on StreamYard, so I can't actually see what you put there, unfortunately, which is a bit annoying. But thank you very much for that. And then Staggervor, sorry, chucked in the $2 and went, do you think Hartley's whole career is over now? Well, we'll jump into it right now. So that will lead into this conversation. But that'll be like the second point. Okay. So the whole Hartley situation, I am curious before I jump into my overall opinion, even though I've sort of said in a video, but I can actually articulate a bit more in the stream. Do you think it was right for the show to get rid of Hartley? If so, why? Like, which side? Like, yes, because of this, or no, because of this? I'm actually curious what people think, because I think most people in the no category, but I think there's still people in the yes. But I think like the majority, I don't want to give a number, but I think like a decent majority are in the no. Everyone's saying no. There's like Funko Punko says this can go both ways, to be honest. I'm on that sort of side, Funko Punko. Funko Punko. Interesting name. I forgot your super chat, Hyperchat. I'm sorry, the chat's just moving. Let me just refresh this page here because it has all the thingos there. So thank you. If you do super chat and I miss you, let me know because I can go to this other page here and find it. Okay, Hypershard with the $2 said, I love your channel, please keep doing YouTube. Thank you very much for that, Hypershard. 777, I will keep doing YouTube as long as it's viable, pretty much. But thank you very much for that, greatly appreciated. And also someone else super chatted just then as well. If I can find it, I think it was Taya W with the 145 super chat. Thank you very much for that, greatly appreciated. Thank you for supporting the channel. So most people are saying no, but there is like the yes. So here's my opinion on it. If this was like just a normal show, but like a family show, just a normal show, I would say yes, 100%. Like the thing is, you can say, well, they were this long ago, but usually the whole thing is that like you are sort of based on not just your present acts, but also your past, present, and future. All that comes into it. So is it unfortunate that someone had to go back through his history because they just felt like it's time to cancel. It's cancel o'clock on my watch. Wait, is it cancel o'clock? Yeah, it's 5 past cancel o'clock. I got to do it quickly. So it's unfortunate he got targeted for this. Cancel culture is a terrible thing. It's people trying to ruin careers just for the sake of a meme. It's toxic. It is toxic. However, what he wrote was really bad, and you can't have that out there on a show like The Flash, which is very family driven, as well as what do you call it? With the cast. I think that's the main thing, which we'll talk about in a second. The cast is I think the big thing here. I don't think it necessarily has to do too much. I don't think that the viewing audience is the major deciding factor. I think it's actually the cast. But those tweets, they're always going to be there, and it always come into the people save them, and they'd always come into threads and everything like that. So it's always going to be an issue going forward. Blame has to be put on not only Hartley, obviously, for putting out the tweets, but he probably forgot about them. Like I can't remember what I tweeted like 3 months ago. If you asked me to quote a tweet that I put out 3 months ago, I wouldn't be able to give you 2 words from it. So he probably has no. He probably knows he was tweeting at something along those lines, some like edgy jokes in that sort of vein. But I highly doubt he remembers exactly what they were and if they were that bad. I highly doubt it. I'm sure most of us, if you have a Twitter account and you tweet even just a couple of times a week, you put out stuff that you wouldn't even remember. It's just sort of like, comes off like second-handed. You don't even really think about it too much. Unless it's meant to be some like sort of like deep, quote or something like that you're going to pin to the top of your profile. Like you don't really think about it too much. So blame is on Hartley for putting them out in the first place. However, blame has to go to his management, which will include, I guess, a PR person if he has it. I don't know if at that stage he would have had one. I'd say no. So I'd say his management. The CW and Warner Brothers themselves, which they end up falling into that hypocritical thing because they sort of put blame on other people when they were in the hiring process. So it's like, hold on, you're the employer. Shouldn't you have done this? Like, how can a couple of people on Twitter find this like now, but like 4 years ago, 3-4 years ago, you couldn't find it when the tweets are only a couple of years old? Like, what's going on there? Well, how can you not find that then? So, and then it also goes on to the producers, which tie into that as well. So the people that find him are also the people that are in the blame category because they should have been in that situation or in that they had the role to actually stop this from potentially happening because they could say, oh, we really want you for the role, but you got these tweets. No one knows about them. Delete them, please. Wouldn't have been too hard. And it would have been kept completely behind closed doors. So the people that are not responsible, but like sort of made the decision are also to blame in some regards. So it's pretty crazy. But I've seen people saying Sky Jackson. From what I know, Sky Jackson's tweet had nothing to do with it because Hartley was fired on the Thursday or Friday, and Sky didn't tweet out till the Sunday or Monday or something like that. So Sky Jackson, had nothing to do with it. So that's from what I know. And the reason it took so long to come out in regards to like being announced is because they had to go through legal things. So that's why it took so long. It wasn't Sky's. Honestly, she's from what I've seen, she should probably be arrested for doxing. I'm surprised that she hasn't been at least approached by. She might have actually, but she's doxing people, which is illegal. You can actually get someone killed by doing that. So I don't know why she would be so stupid to do that. But anyway, I know she might get caught later on. I know. I have to wait and see. But yeah, what I was going to say is about the cast. I think the cast might have been the deciding factor because all it takes, because obviously we just look at the cast for a second. Obviously you have Grant, you have some other people like that. But the main thing is that what did Hartley's tweets sort of like, who would they have affected in regards to demographics? The main one is women, obviously, but also people, well, mainly black people, because the racist tweet he put out was something about like African Americans and the prison population, something like that, which was really bad. It made no sense. It was like Super Bowl time, and then he just says this stupid thing. Obviously, you have many women, so the misogynistic and sexist tweets hit them, but also the what do you call it? The racist tweet. And someone says doxing racist is justifiable. I'm not pointing at that. I'm talking about she was doxing innocent people. She got the wrong people and doxed them. So that's why she would be in trouble by the police. If anything happened to those people, she would go to jail for a long time. I'd probably say like what I think it's like 15 years, I think, for leading into doxing and stuff like that. So yeah, if someone called a SWAT call on one of those wrong places, people she doxed, she'd go to prison for I think it's 15 years. I think that happened to the guy that doxed that YouTuber that got, oh no, it wasn't a YouTuber. I think it was a streamer that got shot or something like that. Anyway, back to that. So the cast, a lot of them are hit by those tweets. And all it takes is one person. It could honestly be someone that's not even on the show that much. It might not even been Daniel Nicolette, Panna Baker, Candace, Jesse L. Martin. It might not have even been any of those main cast. It could have been someone that's on the show every now and then. And the thing is that why should, like, their logic around it would be like, well, we're not going to affect this person's workplace experience when they've done nothing wrong. You know what I mean? But when Hartley's put this out. So it was a tricky situation. If the cast was completely behind him, then you would say that, I don't know, maybe he stays on. Because honestly, when it got like a couple days after and it sort of died down, I was thinking to myself, well, I was sort of still in that grey area where I was leaning towards, well, maybe he might stay. Maybe there might have been this thing that sort of what do you call it? Where like they just sort of move on from him. They forgive him, and he's going to learn to build from it. But people have brought this up. It does, him being fired sort of does make them, the CW, at least the DC shows, like who does it? Like, well, pretty much all of them do, seem very hypocritical and that they virtue signal. So what they've done is, obviously, if people remember, like, it's ironic that Hartley played Ralph, but you have all these characters that are built like around redemption arcs. So that were this one person when we meet them, or in flashbacks, whether it might be, usually it's when we meet them, and they're just this bad person. They build from it, and we see their journey into becoming a much better person, and in some cases a superhero. In the case of Oliver Queen, like a freaking savior of the universe. So you got, as I said, you got Oliver. Like, this is just naming a few characters. Sorry, like some of you might even have more that you might want to add that I'm forgetting. We have Oliver Queen, Killer Frost, Deathstroke, Lena Luthor, Ralph, obviously, which is ironic because what happened to Harley is literally what was going on with Ralph. And there might be another one. I guess someone said Captain Cold, yeah. But you know, like a bad person that's completely redeemed. So it is a bit hypocritical, and there's like a bit of virtue signaling going on with those storylines, but they never do. But now, when a situation comes up in real life, they don't even acknowledge it. And you never know, they might have. But the way in which Eric Wallace put out his tweet as well, it made it seem like, no, we're completely against him. We're gone. So it's a tricky situation. I would have not have liked to have been in the process of making a decision at all, whether it was the producers, the people at the CW, or even the cast, because I'm sure the cast was asked about this, whether it was like they were brought into a Skype call or something, like, look, we have to have a chat about this, or simply it was like, look, have you seen the stuff with Hartley? Thoughts? And then they just pretty much put that stuff there. So I don't know, a tricky situation. I would not have wanted to have done it. The thing is, and you've seen it, I'm sure some of you would have seen it if you've like been on Instagram with like specifically, I think, well, Grant's really the only one that's been posting, but Grant Gustin has posted some stuff, and especially the first one where he just simply, this was bad by Grant. It was very lazy. He should have done his own thing, but he went the very lazy route, which makes me think that maybe he didn't 100% support it, or maybe he didn't 100% agree with it. But he just reposted Eric Wallace's statement from Twitter, and I was like, Grant, you're the leader of the show. You probably should have done your own thing, whether it was a video or something like that. Probably maybe not a video because you can say things wrong. Like, definitely like a carefully articulated statement. So yeah. Oh no, actually, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he should have stayed. Like, I'm still in that area where I have no idea exactly what they should have done, because I think it really relied on the cast. I think, as I said, you might not have been here for the beginning. If it was on any other show, I would say yes, go. But the issue is that what the CW represents in regards to change and everything like that, and also how the cast feels, I think was the main deciding factor around whether he went or stayed. I was in that grey area. I didn't even know which way they were going to go, and I was sort of undecided on where I think they should have gone, just because of the show in particular. If it was like, as I said, if it was like CSI Miami or something like that, then of course, adios amigo. But just because of the particular show, I wasn't exactly sure where they should have gone. And also the pickle it sort of puts them in going into next season in regards to the story. So Daniel Nicolette also posted something like hers, but I'm just saying, like, when you think of the Flash, you don't think of Cecile. You know what I mean? Like, Cecile's like a side character. When you think of the Flash, you think of Grant, you think of Candace, you think of Danielle, you think of Carlos, you think of Tom Cavanaugh. The only one to say anything was Grant, and it was just a repost, which is a bit lazy. He should have put out his own thing, because he also got attacked for it. He pretty much got attacked for not actually handling it very correctly. Like, I think the top 3 comments would like, I think the highest had about like 7,500 likes. The third or fourth had like 5,000 likes or something like that. All pretty much. The top one was calling out Grant. The other ones were more like just disappointment. And the fact that it had that many likes, sort of reflects it. So I'm fine with the decision they made. I'm fine with it. I know people are really hating it. I'm okay with it. Like, it's not like Hartley was the main star. You know what I mean? Like, he was only in, he wasn't even in every episode this season. He was gone for a lot of the season. You know what I mean? Like, in regards to, like, if you put up like side characters like the not main in regards to Grant and Candace, like if you put like, Cisco, Caitlin, Hartley, and Joe, Hartley probably missed Ralph probably missed the most episodes. You know what I mean? So he wasn't there a ridiculous amount. Like, I'm intrigued to see what it is. Like, if anyone wants to chime in, how do you think this goes into next season? Do you think it's going to be a constant, thing that's brought up? Do you think it's going to be a constant thing that's brought up? Because I don't think they're not going to rehire him. Like, I know there's campaigns out there, and I appreciate the hustle. Like, if you want something, go for it. You know what I mean? Whether I agree or disagree with it, but they're not going to rehire him. People have used the James Gunn thing, and the difference, the main difference with the James Gunn thing, which is evident with what's happened with Hartley, is that with James Gunn, his cast, and even people that have worked with him previously that weren't necessarily in Guardians of the Galaxy supported him. They were like, "Oh, we know James. He's a stand-up dude. This is stuff in the past." They supported him, but when you look at the Flash cast, none of them liked his statement apologizing for it, which was only like on the day. So the day before, he'd posted I think it was a Black Lives Matter thing or something along those lines, or maybe asking for one of the police to be arrested. It was something like that. And Grant liked it. I think Candace liked it. I think Daniel Panabaker liked it. I think Daniel Nicolette liked it. And then a bunch of the other Arrowverse people. Then literally 24 hours after, or even less, he posts that apology thing, and none of them, zero, liked them. Like the post on Instagram. The only people Arrowverse related that liked it were Rick Gonzalez, who played Renee Ramirez on Arrow, and Sarah, I think her name's Carter, who played older female Cicada on Flash last season. They were the only 2 Arrowverse related people that liked the tweet. So the Instagram post. So once I saw that, I thought, oh, here comes trouble. They're not, like, there's literally no support for this at all. So it was always going to be an issue. And then when you have people like Candace and Danielle, and who's another Flash related person who would be active on Twitter. I don't know, any other Flash related person, like actor, that would have been on Twitter a lot. They probably would have been tagged in it. So they would have seen it. I'm sure it would have been surprised if they hadn't seen it before all that happened. What's this thing here? Yeah, Daniel Panabaker and Daniel Nicolette unfollowed Hartley. I don't know if more have at this stage. But the thing is, my main thing is, as long as I think I know it sounds weird saying this, but I think they should have contacted probably Hartley behind, and I'm sure they have. I'm sure Grant would have. I'm sure maybe Candace, because I think Candace actually spent time with Hartley by him. Like, they went on they did like 2 conventions in a row, I think, together. So they were the only Flash people there. So they would have spent time together, especially between the conventions, I'm pretty sure. So maybe Grant and Candace would have contacted Hartley and just said, look, yeah, that's just how the cookie crumbles, I guess. Like, something along those lines. I'm sure that would have happened behind the scenes. It is surprising that Panabaker and Nicolette unfollowed him, but that's just probably like public image. But no one else has at this stage. At that stage, who knows? But I think I don't like people defending the tweets. I don't think it's right to defend the tweets. I think the only narrative you should go with it is that people can change, but don't defend the tweets. You know what I mean? I think that's a really bad route to take, and I don't think it actually helps at all. Don't defend them. Like, say the tweets were bad, but say, has he, is he like that now? That's like the best thing to go about it. I'm not saying anyone specifically is defending the tweets. I'm not going to name, but I've already seen people in the chat defend the tweets, and I think that's a bit dodgy. So here's the big thing, though, and this leads into another argument, which once again I've already sort of addressed in a video. I'm sure if you've watched that video, you would already know what I think of the situation. What do you think they go from? What do you think they do from here? What do you think they do going into season? What are we going into? Season 7 of The Flash. Do they recast him or just move on? Just move on without Ralph and just write him out of the show. Sorry, write him out of the show off screen, because it's important to remember they've done that with Julian Albert. Julian Albert was meant to be in season 4. He was meant to be in season 4, but then issues happened leading into it, and then they had to write him off, and they just said, "Oh, he went back to London." You know what I mean? So there's been instances before with, and even what was her name? Person who helped with the Tracy Brand. I want to say Tracy Brand, something Brand. I think it was Tracy Brand. They wrote her out of the show as well. Her and Julian Abbott were meant to be in season 4, and then and funnily enough, I think Julian Abbott leaving was the reason Ralph Dibny got introduced into the show, because I think that was a late thing. I think that wasn't like mentioned early. So there's been instances, where they've had characters that were meant to go into a next season, and then they've had issues going into it, so they've had to change it up and either we'll write them out off screen or write them out in the first few episodes. So just going through the chat, I'm seeing a lot of write them out. I think write them out's the best idea, because I'll tell you why. That's in a second, even though I've already mentioned it in a video before. Okay, so no matter what they do, they could recast freaking Leonardo DiCaprio. You know what I mean? And people would attack the actor. As I said, there's already a bunch of people online that I'm not attacking at all. I'm just saying that there's a bunch of people online that are really on the no, we want Hartley back on the show. And I think no matter who they hire, the new actor would get, I'm not going to say like, 24/7 abuse, but like whenever they post something, oh, look, Ralph's on set. Look, oh, here I am in the elongated man suit. It'd be like, well, no, Hartley wore it better. You know what I mean? There's going to be that constant, what do you want to call it? Bashing, I guess you could call it, just side swiping on the actor. You wouldn't want to be it. I know you're getting paid. I know it's a job, but if you knew about the situation, you wouldn't be jumping into it. You know what I mean? You wouldn't want to be jumping into it. The biggest issue, and I've seen people saying it, is that they what do you call it? Sue, and I feel really bad for Natalie Dreyfus. I think that's the actress name, who potentially played, maybe past tense, Sue Dearborn on the show. She probably had it it looked like she was going to have a job this year. Well, yeah, starting in a couple of months, and now they could be out the door. And I don't think you can't. Like, no offense to Sue as a character, but she's only on the show because Ralph's on the show. They wouldn't have done Sue on the show if Ralph wasn't there. So that's a big issue going forward, is like, well, do they do anything with her? Do they quickly wrap up her story? Because if you remember, in the quote unquote finale for season 6, it's set up that she's being like blackmailed and set up as the killer of Joseph Carver. So what do they do there? Do they wrap it up in one episode? And we'll get into like an episode issue in a second, but there's massive issues there. So who knows what they're going to do there. So I don't. That's the only reason I could see them recasting Ralph. But I'd say you'd recast Ralph for only a few episodes, so they'd have someone come in, maybe a recognizable name that no one's really going to hate. Like, honestly, let's be completely honest. You bring someone in that, even if it's a former actor that's been on the show, like someone comes in and Ralph is impersonating this other person, so they don't get caught. So whether it's Ralph is on the run or something, or because he's attached to Sue, he's a target as well. But honestly, you bring in someone that's recognizable from the past, on like whether it's the Flash or another show and just make it that they're playing Ralph, but as themselves because Ralph disguised them, and then they wrap Ralph up in a couple of episodes, and then they move on. You know what I mean? They wrap up Sue's story, they wrap up Ralph, and then they move on and they don't have to do anything. Because I think if you add someone in to consistently play Ralph in this, like in season 7 as a whole, I think it's just going to be potentially problematic, not for the person, not saying the person's problematic, but just the whole situation. I don't think it will end well. But, and I wonder if a couple of other people have thought this through. I think I mentioned in my video I did on Ralph was that in obviously we ended on episode 19 for season 6, but episode 20 was pretty much done. I think they had a day left of filming. Like from what I've heard, they could have aired episode 20, but it didn't work as a episode to like end a season. So they're just going to use it as season 1 and then maybe properly finish it. So they're going to use episode 20 from season 6 as episode 1 for season 7. However, we know for a fact that Hartley is in that episode as Ralph. So what do? Do they redo his scenes with something else to explain it? What do they do there? You know, like that's the most, I think that's the biggest issue with this, is that they have footage there that they were planning to use as episode 1 for next season, which has Ralph in it. Now, the thing is that could all be stuff with Sue. So there could be Ralph has no scenes with other cast members outside of maybe like one. So they maybe could just rip that storyline out and then have dialogue put in there that they're on the run or something like that. And maybe they have like, I know it sounds lame, but it's an easy way to do it. So they just have like emails or just like Cisco comes in and is like, oh, by the way, I was just talking to Ralph on the phone. He's in this city and they're gone. They're on the run from this. And then maybe it's about clearing Sue's name without Sue being there. You know what I mean? So like it's a tricky situation, that whole thing. Like there's multiple issues with this and nothing that really like says I'll bring Hartley back, but just how they've got to deal with it. It's going to be intriguing to see what they do. But there is a bunch of super chats here that I know they're there. I just haven't got around to we're in the discussion. Oh, sorry, let me retweet this. Not retweet it, sorry, refresh this page. Give me 2 seconds to get it up. Okay, here we go. Where are we? Okay, Skull Lightning 86 with a $5. Thank you very much for that. Do you think this will be... Oh, by the way, after I get through these super chats, we'll go through the general chat and do a bit of a Q&A for the last like 20-odd minutes of this stream. Yeah, Skull Lightning, do you think this will be in like another James Gunn situation and you might come back down the road? As I was saying earlier, I'm guessing you put this in a while ago. James Gunn had full support of his cast and most of his crew, I guess, that worked with him. Hartley's pretty much had none, which might reflect the Flash cast. I don't know. It's up to you whether that reflects badly in the Flash cast. I'm disappointed that they haven't addressed it themselves. It's just sort of like being silent around it. But I understand they're probably trying to protect their own image, so I can understand on that on that basis as well. But it's been a bit weird. The whole thing's been a bit weird, like the silence around it while everyone else is talking about it. Instagram comment sections are filled with it, and it's just keeping silence. It's a bit strange, but I understand why they're doing it for the most part. But whether I agree with it or disagree with it, it's a bit up in the air. Tyler Canales with the $2. Thank you very much for that. Captain J10 with a 5. Thank you very much for that. Not fair. It was old tweet like 8 years ago. He should have been suspended or work without no paycheck. If he tweeted recently, then yes, he should have been fired. If it was tweeted recently, like if he like tweeted like 2 months ago, something along those lines, and yeah, it would have been extremely. He would have been probably fired then. What do you call it? I think one option I saw, which I don't know if people would agree with this, is that they should have suspended his pay and then donated it to some sort of benefit, like ones that affect like the demographics that he would have what do you call it, like offended by his tweets, whether it was like something to do with like Black Lives Matter or something about like domestic abuse or something along those lines. I saw that. I don't know though. I think it's a I think it's a worthy option to bring up. I just don't know if it was the solution. I just don't know if it was the solution. But it would have been I think it was a viable option. I think it was a viable option for that to be the case. But I don't know if it would have worked in regards to keeping him on the show. But yeah, it could have worked. Priyesh with the £2. Thoughts on Sushant Singh Rajput? I'm not too sure who that is. Actually, was that the actor who passed away that I saw trending on Twitter? If that was the case, then obviously rest in peace. I just didn't know who he was, or at least from just his name and face. Like if you said a movie he was in, then maybe I might have seen it, but I unfortunately didn't know him. But obviously not good that he passed away. Very, very sad. So rest in peace. But yeah, I had no idea who he was, unfortunately. UJ Johnson with the $2 is Wildcat Ted Grant in the comic. Why change him? Because this is about the new JSA. So Ted Grant is the Golden Age Wildcat, and what they're doing on the show is Stargirl mixed with Infinity Inc. So Infinity Inc. has the next version, so the second version. So you have Owlman 2, Dr. Midnight, who's Dr. Midnight 2 technically, and then Wildcat 2. So Owlman 2 is Rick Tyler, Dr. Midnight 2 is Beth Chappell, and Wildcat 2 is Yolanda Montez. So it's just Infinity Inc. Funnily enough, a lot of those, not a lot of them, actually, sorry, two of them aren't in the comic that long. So, like, they literally Yolanda Montez, I think, is the shortest lived of the characters. She's in it for, like, hardly anything. She dies. Spoiler alert, but she won't die on the show. But she's a very short-lived character. But, fun fact, if you've read Doomsday Clock, they're back. So that's cool. Hopefully they release another JSA comic series soon with those characters. Lolly Popper, 42 with $1. Thank you very much for that. Krish Kapoor with the £5. What happened with Candace, and did you see Grant try and congratulate Legends? Also, what are your thoughts on Rajin and how will they do him? Candace was just like a situation, like a fling that sort of got spiraled out of control on Twitter because I think people wanted to meme it at first. But then it became a bit of an issue when people tried to attack her for it. So it was a meme that then turned a bit toxic. But as I said, no one really, it was just, it's not worth even discussing because I don't think there was anything too wrong with it. At first, I thought it was a bit dodgy, but when you look into it, you're like, okay, well, no, there's nothing really that bad with it. I think I saw, was that the video that Katie Lotz put up with Grant in it? I think I saw that. And Rajin, I think they just make it that he's like some sort of lead. I don't know. I've done a video on it. So if you want to go watch the video, because I can't remember what I said in the video, but I've done a video on it. So if you go to my channel, you'll see it. Tyler Canellas with the $5. Do you think Godspeed and Blood Work would become Red Death? I wouldn't put anything Godspeed related into becoming Red Death because people get mad at that. You'd be canceling out characters there, and that's always a bad option. So I think they'd be safe not doing that because fans of both of them would get angry. So I think you're better off keeping them separated. Captain J10 with the $2. They should add a new hero to the show. Maybe, I don't know. Does anyone think that they should just leave it and just move on? Because people always complain that the show is bloated. Now there's an option here for one or two characters to go off the show. I mean, not saying like everyone was asking for Ralph to go before, but I'm saying now they have an option where it's less bloated. Do they need to put in another character? You know what I mean? So I just can't. I wouldn't be wanting another hero. Like I'd rather just they focus on the Flash, to be completely honest. And Ralph was really developed, and I don't think going into season 7 you need another hero coming in that we develop. Why can't I see any super chats, lol? Because it goes away. And then Marty with the €5. Thank you very much for that, Marty. What happens to Sue? Does the actress get fired because of him if he is not recast? I think she probably comes back for at least an episode or two, maybe, but I'm not confirming that either. Like she could be gone as well. She could be out the door. It matters whether if she had a contract to appear. If she had a contract to appear in at least a handful more episodes, they'd either have to pay her for those episodes or bring her in to do them. So either she comes in and gets paid and does them, or she gets paid and doesn't do them. It's one of the two because she had a contract. So yeah, something's going to happen there. I don't think I just really don't think they're going to recast Ralph. I'm going to be completely honest. I really just don't think they're going to recast him. I don't know. That's just me though. Two more from Kieran Clark Productions with the £2. It's sad how Danielle gets traded on Twitter. Yeah, I don't think she uses Twitter a ridiculous amount. I think she just goes on there and posts. I don't think she'd be going through her mentions too much, just because it'd be filled with people just attacking her. But then it'd be the exact same for Candace. It goes both ways. It's a two-way street. Well, it's a double lane street, whatever you want to call it. You wouldn't want to be just an actor in general and go on Twitter, especially if you're in something where like the ship war. Oh god, like imagine like. I think like Amber Ricard's, I think doesn't even use like stop using Twitter because of all that stuff going on. And same with Katie Cassidy back in the Arrow days. You wouldn't want to do it. And then Phantasm 91 with the $2. Thank you very much for that. Have you seen all the episode titles for Stargirl season 1 episode up to 13, sorry. I've seen them, but I just can't remember the order. I know that Shiv part 1 is episode 7, so obviously part 2 will be episode 8. I think there's another. I know there's Brainwave and then Brainwave Junior, and then I know the final 2 episodes are Stars and Stripe part 1, Stars and Stripe part 2. So there's another couple of episode titles in there that I can't remember off the top of my head that fall in between some of those ones. But I know there's like an episode called Brainwave, then Brainwave Junior. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the end of Stargirl. I can't wait. Can I please explain Apartment 4? Don't have enough time, unfortunately. So I'm just looking through the chat again. By the way, if you have any questions, chuck them into the chat now because we'll do the general Q&A to end off the video. I didn't realize those super chats would go so long. Speaking of super chats, sorry, Kieran Clark Productions with the $2 or £2. Wally could fill the void left by Ralph, in my opinion. Maybe it just matters if Kenan Lonsdale wants to come back for that long. Vittorials, $2. Any plans for a face reveal ever? I've done plenty of face reveals. Just at the moment, I've got someone living with me and I can't do like the camera stuff. I'll probably bring it back hopefully in a couple of weeks because it's just, yeah, I'm not going to force out the person that's staying with me. You know what I mean? But yeah, whenever I can do it, I'll bring it back. Will Red Death ever be in the Flash show, Pagey? Maybe. I'm not dying for him to show up. I know a lot of people like him though, but it has to be I guess they have to explain it fairly well, I guess. I don't know if they ever do what do you call it? What should we call it? I'm just looking through Twitter because someone just said something. Give me 2 seconds. Who's this person? I'm assuming this is trolling. Hold on. Give me 2 seconds. No idea who that is because it doesn't even. I typed in the actor's name, it doesn't even come up. Okay, so I'm guessing that's trolling. I can't remember what I was talking about because that person took my mind off things. Anyway, do a face review, please. Actually, can I change my? Let me try and change my picture. Hold on. I'll be this caterpillar for the rest of the stream. Okay, so is everyone fine with the caterpillar? Is everyone okay? If not, we can change it, but I think we'll stick with the caterpillar eating candy corn for the rest of the stream. What was this? Where did it go? Actresses of Allegra and Camilla also unfollowed Hartley Sawyer. Were they even following in the first place? I think I follow the actress who plays Allegra, but I didn't even have a look. Yeah. The finale was meant to be a 2-parter. Was it? I did not know that, but I guess that makes sense that they didn't release the episode titles for the last 2 episodes, so maybe that's why. Maybe they did that. Maybe that's right. Maybe it was meant to be a 2-parter. Usually the finale is a 2-parter though. Anyway, usually the penultimate episode leads directly into the finale. Anyway, Sorry, I went silent there. I was just reading through the chat. Phantasm91 with the $2. Change your show to the flashback Fridays. Well, I could release them. Actually, funnily enough, I think the next flashback review will probably come out on a Friday anyway. Or yeah, probably a Friday, maybe a Saturday. I just got to figure out when it would come out. I'm going to probably try and work on it today and get at least most of the notes done down for it. But it might come out on a Friday. Coincidentally, I don't know if it would always come out on a Friday, but it might come out on a Friday this week. So your dream might come true there, Phantasm. Thank you very much for the $2. Let me just retweet this for a second. No, I keep saying retweets when I'm going to refresh a page. I know why I keep saying retweet. Anyway, that's me being an idiot. Thoughts on Rick Cosnet / Eddie coming back? I want to see it. Good old Cobalt Blue would be awesome if we could have that. And I think if there's a perfect time to do it, why not now? Let's go with it. I'd love to see it. Been asking for it since I think end of season 2, but it may be even leading into season 2, just because there was the evidence based off the ending of season 1 that maybe he's going to come back. Thank you very much for that, Grace. Here's Priyank with the sorry, I have to scroll up and scroll past it. Actually, it's on my screen right here. Why am I even scrolling? So is Green Arrow and the Canaries just dead? I'd say the Green Arrow aspect of it is probably dead. I don't even know what's going to go on with that show. By the sounds of it, I was going to make a video on this, and the information was I didn't want to do it because it was sort of not. Some of it was speculative, some of it was actually concrete because it had been said. But from the sounds of it, here's the cliff notes of it. At least Catherine McNamara is not going to be on the show anymore. Whether Mia Smoke is still on the show and they recast is another question. I don't think they do, because the only reason that Mia Smoke as a character was created from scratch, because she's not from the comics, was to give Catherine McNamara a character. The show was originally going to be Future Team Arrow. That fell apart because no one liked it. So then they changed it and merged it with an idea that Katie Cassidy had come up with, which is the Birds of Prey-esque show. So then it turned into Green Arrow and the Canaries. I don't know what the show was originally going to be called if it was the Future Team Arrow stuff. Maybe Star City 2040, or I don't know, something like that, or Star City Beyond. I don't know what they would have called it. But yeah, they've merged the shows. But Juliana Hikavi, who plays or played, depending on which way this goes, Dinah Drake on the show, has been referring to the show as Canaries. Pretty much all the people associated with the show have been calling it Canaries, like the producers and consultants and the actors still attached have been calling it Canaries. And Juliana Hakavi said it's moving in a different direction, which supports the fact that it's going to be it's not going to be Green Arrow and the Canaries anymore. It's going to be something else. So yeah. So going to the chat. I want Green Arrow and the Canaries. I don't. I'm actually more excited for this Canary show because I did not like Mia Smoke as a character. Will Green Lantern be in an upcoming episode of Stargirl? Jeff Johns said in an interview that the Green Lantern stuff's going to be presented in episodes to come. There's a Green Lantern they can do, or someone that adopts the mantle, if you want to call it, carries on the legacy. I don't know if they do it in season 1 though. They might plant the seed and then it goes forward, or maybe right towards the end of the season that they do it. I have to wait and see what they do there. Meme Stress, is David Ramsey going to play Green Lantern? I actually have a video coming out maybe on the weekend, probably on the weekend because I'll try and space it out, about that, because there was some quotes that need to be so there's some quotes from an interview that need to be dug into, if you know what I mean, about that situation. Zari becomes Zatanna. I don't know. I don't know. I know it's on Legends, I guess, so it really wouldn't matter. I don't know if you necessarily call her Zatanna, but they might give it Zatanna-esque stuff. I don't know if they'd straight up call her Zatanna. But then again, she was never called her comic book name, I guess, or alias. So maybe they could. I don't think they'd call her Zatanna though, but they might give her similar powers if they wanted to. What was this? Solel with the $5. Thank you very much for that. James Gunn made millions for Marvel. What has Harley done for the CW? Daniel Pandaveka is a rat. The worst kind. Wow, I wasn't expecting that last dab in brackets floss at the end. Well, yeah, that's the difference. James Gunn was profitable for Disney and Marvel, but Hartley wasn't really going to bring that in for the CW, was he? So that's another thing. Like there's two. Like I think the support from the cast helped out as well, but obviously the benefit from that Disney and Marvel would have seen, and also I think the fact that Warner Brothers were working with James as well, and no one really cared too much. Where Disney was like, "Oh, well, maybe we don't care either." So, yeah. Anyway, that is a true statement. Have you seen the people trying to get Danielle Pagey fired? Do you think it'll happen? No, because it's all stuff taken out of context or twisted just to support a weird statement. They've been going after Danielle since season 1, and leading into season 7. If it was going to have happened, it would have already happened. Like it's literally beating a dead horse. Oh, why can't I scroll? Here we go. Cole Simmons with the $5. Your videos titles spoil episodes at times. I try not to. Pretty much my episode titles have the stuff from the promo or the synopsis in it, so it's all publicly distributed promo material. That's what I'll include in titles. If it is going to be a quote unquote spoiler in a title, it'll be literally branded spoiler. So it'll be like, what is it? Ralph dabs on spoiler. Danielle diss track spoiler. So it'll be that. You won't get the person who got dabbed on or diss tracked, but you'll know someone got dabbed on or diss tracked. So it's like, oh, who got dabbed on and diss tracked? But you don't actually learn. But thank you very much for that. I think it was Carl. Yeah, that was it Carl? Yeah, Carl. Thank you very much for that. Orange Shark with the $5. If the James Gunn situation happened now, he would be cancelled. Well, it only happened like 2 years ago. It wasn't even that long ago, was it? Like I think it actually, God, it could have been 5 years ago. Time's moving so fast at the moment. But I don't know. I think it was like 2 years ago, I want to say. Something like that. Maybe, I don't know. I guess it's always changing time to time. But thank you very much for that, Orange Shark. People are cancelling Leah Michelle from Glee. Guy, could you stop putting that stuff in the chat? It'd be greatly appreciated. So I'm just going through the chat, just looking for something to answer. I'm just being quiet for a long time. It just seems like I've lost it. I've like faded out or something. Mona Wu and the Can Garys? Is that Mona Wu? Is that like the one from Legends? I can't remember. How did the Anti-Monitor destroy infinite Earths? With infinite power. With infinite power, that's how you do it. Well, guys, I might wrap up the stream there. We've been going for an hour. If anyone wants to we'll go for another minute or something. So if you want to leave any last minute, what do you call it? Questions. Why did it take me so long to think of the word questions? Yeah, any questions in the chat? Feel free to. But if you are, did enjoy the stream, it would be awesome if you could drop a like on it. Obviously, it's going to be a video up. I know whatever YouTube decides to process it, they take 20 years half the time. But yeah, if you want to drop a like on the video, it'd be greatly appreciated if you could do that. For Flash season 7, are they going to do the same 2-part story like season 6? I'd assume so. I don't think Eric Wallace would change his style. Why is Kat no longer mayor? Because she wanted to be the star of the show, and that's sort of been taken away because she's not the lead. It's sort of like a shared lead. How many seasons do you think the show will go on for? Flash? Well, it matters. Grant might have been scared away from re-signing a contract, so it might end this season. Who knows? Because he hasn't signed the contract yet, so if he gets... we might have already, actually. Sorry, we don't know. But he might have been scared of... if it hasn't been signed yet, he might be scared off signing another 2 years because people are attacking him. Let me just. Sorry, Solel with the $5. Daniel Panabaker is a Karen, a subtle one. She appears nice on the outside, but unless you are like Daniel Panabaker's like housekeeper or something like that, I don't know how you would know that. Unfortunately, I appreciate the super chat, but I don't really know how you would know that. Yeah, I really wouldn't understand how you would know that. Did you see the Paul Resley? That's just I've seen people saying that. But I think that's just a Twitter, like an Instagram account that posted something and then people went with it. That I highly doubt Paul Wesley would join the Flash as a side character. That won't happen. So, yeah, that won't happen. And then Rebel, this is really last thing with the $2. What did Danielle do? Nothing. It's just weird Twitter. Just Twitter's weird. And people want to cancel stuff. You stole Solel's money, you thief. You thief. Shouldn't it be thief with a F? I don't even know. That wasn't really well worded. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This has turned into a weird. I don't know what happened there for the last 5 minutes of the chat. Turned into some weird stuff. But thanks for watching. Hopefully enjoy the stream. I'll catch you guys probably maybe tomorrow for another video or maybe the day after. We'll have to wait and see. But thanks for watching and laters from me, the Caterpillar.